Welcome to Catapult Leaders Conversation with Leaders. Listen in and take notes as Catapult Leaders CEO Daryl Mobley chats with Shewonia Bowman about how to deal with stress and depression related to work. Shewonia Bowman is Senior Vice President of Program Management for Bank of America.
This is an exciting day for me because we're covering a topic that most won't cover. Today we're going to talk about how to deal with the ups, the downs, and depression, and how to get help when you need it. My great friend and brilliant person, Shewonia, is with us today. Shewonia, you ready to go?
Daryl, I'm ready. Let's do this.
Given all your experiences observing young folks come into work and they start their careers and all that, how likely is it, in your experience, do you think it is for a person to get started, get going, that they will face ups and downs? How likely is that to happen as opposed to just a smooth flight off into the distance?
So Daryl, this is a really great topic and I appreciate you addressing this issue. Yeah, it's more than likely that a person just starting their career or even someone transitioning into a new career will have some ebbs and flows in their career. The expectations are unmet or what they thought they were going to get is unmet as well. I'll give you a couple of scenarios and we've talked about this before. If you think about a person out of college, they are really moving into an environment that they've never been in before. Every day I have to go to school. Now I'm going from school to work. And every day there's an expectation on me to do this and to perform. Not only that, there's an expectation from my family to do well and be a success. Not only that, there's an expectation from family and friends. Oh, you did it, man, you made it. So you have to be there. And then there's an expectation just by being Black. You represent and you feel like you're shouldering other people and other generations. And if you do wrong, then the whole society of Black America will go down the curve. So I think with all of those pressures, that person coming from college would definitely be affected by the ebbs and flows. And what we have to realize and what we have to teach our children, but not only that, people coming into corporate America, is that there will be some failures. Not every day is going to be successful, but it's how we manage and deal with that is really the strength. And how do you learn from those failures and be successful? I just think that every career, there's going to be an opportunity for you to be stronger, to thrive. There's an opportunity for you to grow. So in this conversation, more than likely, you will be faced with a point in your life where you are up and where you are down. And it's really how you manage and seek the help that you need that you will be successful.
Wow. Well, when you say that and you say that they're going to be, just the natural course of things, there are going to be downs, you're going to be falls, there are going to be oopses, there's going to be stress. And you and I talk about sports, and the greatest Hall of Fame baseball players only get 3 out of 10 hits. They miss or fail 7 out of 10 times.
Yep.
They become Hall of, pro basketball players, Michael Jordan, they don't shoot 50%. They don't hit half their shots, but we herald them as the greatest of all time and incredible. And I think, if I understand you correctly, that analogy is somewhat what you're saying about entering the corporate America. You're not going to be hitting everything out of the park. You're going to be corrected. Your bosses are going to say you need to do more. Personally, the first document I handed in corporate America, the very first document I handed in, came back so marked up with red that I took it and walked in my boss's office and said, "You killed this thing. I mean, it's bleeding." It was so red,
Right.
But that's just what happens, and how you take those situations, how you deal with them. Some of them you can deal with, and some you want to get assistance dealing with is
Right.
really important. Okay. Okay. Look, now, again, you've seen a lot of people come and go. You've a lot of experiences. Any telltale signs you have or know of for someone who's experiencing too much stress or agitation, or something is not right? Any telltale signs?
No, absolutely. So let me just say first, with COVID, there are just a lot of challenges with the election, with the current state of racism in America. So there are a lot of pressures and challenges outside of what you normally go through, which is what we just talked about. The pressures of being successful, the pressures getting the paper right. So when you feel hopelessness, when you feel like there's nothing getting better for you, your situation, your circumstances, that's an internal sign for you to recognize that, okay, something's not sitting well with me right now. I need to understand that. If it is a prolonged time where you are sitting in that feeling, that sense of hopelessness or a loss of interest, to hang out with your friends, to call your friends, and you just want to be alone. Those are telltale signs as well that something's wrong. And again, the duration of that time period is a sign. Sometimes too, we need to think about being happy. Like I want to pursue a career that is a part of my passion. But sometimes in order to get there, you have to do some things that you didn't necessarily have to do. And I remember listening to Will Smith talk about his career and how he got to where he was. So, he started out as a singer and a rapper. And then Quincy Jones asked him to do this show and he didn't act. And he had to go to take lessons and learn how to do that. And that was a process. And so, he could very well easily said, you know what, I'm going back to singing, or I'm going to just go into this whole state. But it's a learning process. And you have to be able to understand that we are going to go through things. And these are things that are challenging us. But again, the telltale sign is, am I in this for a long period of time? And if so, then I need to reach out and get the help. So that's just an example. Fatigue is another example. If you're really sluggish, you're not motivated, these are all signs that something may be an issue, or you may have an opportunity here to seek help.
Thank you. That was very good. Let me ask you a question about what happens. Let's play this out.
Yep.
What happens if a person is feeling some of those things, and it's been long term? What is the natural endpoint for this?
So that's a really good question. So if you're in this state where you're sluggish, you have this sense of hopelessness, you're anxious all the time, like, please talk to someone about that. And don't feel like you are alone. Acknowledge this. Hey, this is not right. This is not my usual pattern. This is not my usual behavior. And I think something's going on. Reach out and seek help and talk to someone about that. Again, you have to realize that other people may be going through the same thing, but they're not speaking up, and they will probably be thankful that you said something, because sometimes when I'm in that situation, I'll hear friends say, you know what, I was feeling the same way, but I didn't want to say anything. And so sometimes you need someone to just say something. And I will also encourage, especially if you are working, companies do offer assistance to talk to someone about it. You can also talk to your physician to ensure that the diagnosis is something about being healthy, around wellness. It could also be something else. So seek your physician, your primary care physician, or someone but don't sit in this and do nothing. Seek the help, because there will be additional triggers that may escalate, and it becomes bigger and bigger. And it's like a sore. You don't want it to get infected and then to be something else that it's not.
Wow.
And the other thing is, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The duration is very important. Track the time. Like if you're up and down, like you had a bad day at the office and then the next day you're blowing it out the park. But if you're having a bad day today, a bad day tomorrow, a bad day the next day, so track the duration of time and try to be mindful about when is this occurring and what are the triggers to make that happen.
I want to put myself on the spot here, and then
Yep.
if you can tell me how we can make this better. I am by nature and by desire an upbeat person, a happy person, and I've enjoyed everything I had the opportunity to do, even if it was something very difficult. That was maybe my way of dealing with it and kind of shedding it. Maybe I was avoiding dealing with it. What are the problems with just powering through the way I did it? You've seen people I'm just going to power through and not acknowledging it.
So absolutely. I will say that in the Black American culture, that is one of the ways that we kind of cope with things. We just power through it, just push through it is another term that we use, or we will pray our way through this. Mm-hmm. But what happens is that you are internalizing the situation. And then when the next one comes, then again, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Granted, you can power through some opportunities because they may not be as strong or as significant, and you may not have been in that moment for a long period of time. But what's important is, how do you be mindful about these triggers and just understand the implications of what is happening to you and how that is infecting how you speak and how you talk and how do you interact with people. So yeah, people do power through. We've been doing it for a long time,
Right.
but it's not healthy. It can have severe consequences to your overall mental health, your wellness, your eating habits, your pattern. It just spirals into a lot of other different things. So seek help, talk about it. Again, in our community, we are not the ones to seek the help that we need to deal with this. And the other second thing is you don't want to pass this on to anyone else, and you don't want it to impact your interactions with other people in your relationships.
You are listening to a Catapult Leaders podcast. For more information, visit catapultleaders.com.
Oh, look at that. Now you just threw that in there. So wait a minute. So this is
Yes.
good. So give me an example of it impacting, maybe if you've seen this happen, impact your relationships.
So one of the things, like when you think about, when you ask the question about telltale signs, like if I am, like you said, a social person and I am dating someone and they see me in this reaction and they like me because I am this social animal and we hang out, pre-COVID and hopefully after COVID, and then I'm now in this shell, that may be something that person says, okay, you know what, you're not who you are or what I thought you would be, and it changes. Or if you're in the office and you are doing work and Shewonia is always that person we can go to with these great ideas, she's very creative, she's thinking outside of the box, and all of a sudden, oh, you're not, then that has to do with maybe your performance. So they look at it differently. So when I say like relationships, that's what I mean. You want people to understand and appreciate who you are for who you are. And so you have to be able to communicate and say, you know what, this is not a good day for me, or I need to take a mental health day. I used to do that when I worked. I used to just call my manager and say, I need a mental health day right now. I just need a moment to just be still and just think about what's going on. And then I can come back and be better. And, when you think about artists, they do that as well. So if you think about a composer who writes or a painter, they're really in the grind. They're in the thick of things, but they've reached this mental block and they just go away. And when you think about places like Apple and Google, they have these places where people can play, because we want your mind to be excited. You want the light to be in your mind so that you could be your best self. So if you are not your best self, it's not helpful for these types of relationships. So that's the point I'm making about relationships.
Okay.
It can be extremely harmful to those relationships, personal as well as at work.
Wow. Now, in your experience, you mentioned a couple of companies there. In your experience, would you say most companies in today's, I know when I was coming up, the answer to this question is no. But would you say most companies in today's world have resources where people can go and get assistance now?
Oh, absolutely. I can tell you an example. So today, my 2 deep leader, and a 2 deep leader is 2 people below the CEO, had a meeting today. Literally, Daryl, the last 20 minutes of the meeting, we did meditation.
Wow.
She brought in a wellness coach who spent the first 10 minutes just talking about wellness and why is it important, how it has helped him. He does it 15 minutes in the morning, and he took us through a 15-minute session in her meeting. And I'm talking about my 2 deep leader. So this is, again, a person that is 2 below the CEO. And so she has a big staff, a big team, and she carved out 20 minutes of her meeting time just to do this. Because again, COVID is here. Racism has reared its ugly head again and again and again. We just completed an election. There are so many things that are coming at us, plus dealing with the economy, and someone is sick and maybe dying of COVID. It's just a lot of things. So more and more companies are doing that. More and more companies have these play areas. More and more companies are not doing their rooms with these gray and blue colors, but with light, with high yellows and blues and greens, because they want color and they want life. So yes, absolutely. Companies see and value that this is important. We need to recognize that if they're seeing it, that we need to recognize and acknowledge it as well.
I'm going to ask you a personal question now. This will be the last question, but I want to.
No worries.
Well, there are times when you didn't do something either for yourself or for others, and it was a mistake. Looking back now, well, I should have done, if I could do it over again, I would change maybe what I did for this person or maybe what I did for myself.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
So I guess when I first started working, I thought taking vacation was a really bad sign. Like
Mm,
my manager wanted me in the office. If you had 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or whatever, you don't. I didn't take the time. I worked, thinking that how long I work will equate to my performance, which would equate to how successful I am, which would equate
mhm,
to getting the next job.
mhm,
What I didn't realize was not taking vacation was taking a mental toll on me. And I
mm.
wasn't experiencing and getting to know me for who I am and what I could do. I
Okay.
wasn't looking at additional hobbies. I wasn't understanding what the city could offer. I wasn't building relationships outside of work. So, to answer your question, if I had to look back on anything, I would have taken all my days. I would have planned great vacations because those are stories that I want to be able to tell my children. Those are memories that I want to be able to have. So now my memories are me working all day, all night
Right.
to get to a place where I thought I would be successful and happy, when what really makes me happy is doing what it is that I like to enjoy and do. I love my work and I am good at my job, but I also like doing things outside of work. So definitely take your time, take all the time, and don't take the time and then do work at the same time. We all need to take a mental break from the things and activities that we do so that we can come back refreshed and renewed, because
Mhm.
I always come back renewed and have better and bigger ideas.
That was an amazing answer because it's so applicable. I can think right now, and I hope a lot of people out there listening, once you can say, wow, let me make sure I do this, or this. And vacations have so much restorative power. It's amazing. And vacations belong to you.
They do.
They don't belong to your boss. They don't belong to the project list. They don't belong to the company. They belong to you. And you are right. There are a lot of people who they give them, first of all, I think you should work hard at work. Work hard at work, that's a good thing. My goal was never to give myself over to my work. The work was something I did, and I tried to do it well, and I wanted to put myself into it, and nobody was going to outwork me doing what I had to do. Having said that, nobody was going to outwork me in going to my vacation either, or getting
Right.
away from
Right.
no, I was not going to lose that game because I had total control over that. I tell my kids now, my kids are young adults, and so this may apply to some people out there listening. I tell them now, I said, yeah, when I was your age, I mean, I would fly on weekends across the country to go have dinner at some restaurant on the coast or wherever I was. I would go there. I was always, all these pictures of me in Europe and in Asia and here and there when I was young, because I just, I wanted to see the world. I didn't have the plan, and the way you've articulated is perfect. I didn't know that it was giving me that back. I didn't know that it was probably, maybe that's why I was happy. Maybe that's why I was resilient, because I had this world out here uh,
Exactly.
that I was loving and embracing. And so that was very, my goodness. Well, wow, Shewonia, that is perfect. Let me ask you a question. Is there anything else you want to add? Because I don't even know what to ask you. You've been killing it here. Anything else you want to add so people hearing you can take and move forward in their lives?
The only thing that I will add is for, the listeners here, like what we want from everyone and what you should want of yourself is to be your very best self. And the way you do that is to take care of yourself. So it's about not only the wellness piece, like your mind, body, and soul, but it's what you put into that mind, body, and soul. Is how you are continuously learning. Even though you've graduated from school, are
Mhm.
you reading the paper? Are you reading a book? Are you having dialogue with people who have divergent ideas and concepts like you so that you can grow? So what we want from everyone and what you should want from yourself is being your very best self and putting your very best self forward. And when people talk about bring your whole self to work, that's what they really mean. How do I let you know who I am and not have this mask so people think that you are one way or not, or you're the other? So I would just impose that upon everyone as bring your whole self, bring your best self. And then this is just a tool and a piece of advice in how you do that, your mental health and wellness.
You are magnificent, Shewonia. Thank you so much for what you said today. You've helped. I feel like this actually will help people in ways far extending beyond just work, but also in their personal life, when you have kids and those demands and you get involved in relationship, those demands, and you got the in-laws, I call them the outlaws. And the outlaws, you got all those people, how dealing with all of them can bring stress and ups and downs, but knowing how to deal with it and manage it is so important. You've been helpful. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Daryl. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share.
You've listened to Catapult Leaders Conversation with Leaders. Special thanks to Shewonia Bowman.
Be sure and go to catapultleaders.com so that you can apply to the Catapult Leaders program if you are a college student or grad student or a recent graduate. If you are a company leader looking to up-level your company by hiring outstanding new employees, please go to catapultleaders.com and contact us. Let's go.